Hello, Canada! Welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagai. Okay, mainstream is doing what they do best, trying to make it as though Canada looked so great and how well Carney did with his first meeting with Trump at the White House. And I'm here to set the record straight. As always, I post all my links in the description below, so that you guys can watch it in its entirety and literally be able to see for yourselves that I'm not clipping and editing in order to make it go one way or the other. I'm giving you just the truth, just the facts. Sorry! That's why I created this channel. And for all of those who are stealing my homework, those other independents, and a lot of hacks, go ahead, whatever. This is why I need you guys to like, share, and subscribe to help grow the channel and get the word out. I'm one of the very few that actually do post all of what I use. Not all. There's a lot of information I get from insiders. There's a lot of emails and contacts I deal with. I don't show that, obviously. I refuse, left or right, to dox anybody. So there has to be a control. Obviously, I am not like mainstream. I'm as open as a book. Everything's all here. Now, back to this whole Trump thing. We got destroyed. Carney got his liver handed to him on a plate, and Canada is in serious bad shape. We're going to start off with an interview that Howard Lutnik had yesterday. And I'm going to show you this because it pertains a lot to what Trump alludes to in today's meeting. And it's kind of a broader spectrum of how this administration thinks of Canada. The auto industry is in huge trouble now because the Liberals got voted in power once again. Not only are we not going to see all the hundreds of billions of dollars that are all involved in scandals and corruption and payoffs, they are going to continue to push this completely backwards democratic idea of the carbon system. The auto industry is actually very small when it comes to the Canadian economy. Now, I want to see the auto sector thrive. I want to see any and every Canadian get ahead. And I've been warning for months about what the Liberals are going to do that will destroy, annihilate the auto industry. This is why Trump wanted the Liberals in power, because of how weak they are making Canada with this green agenda, as well as how poor they are intellectually to make trade deals. The first USMCA, Trump really hurt Canada. And again, the media came off saying on how great the Liberals did in this deal. I'm going to tell you right now, that was only the first step. Trump was feeling out the water, and he always had this tariff thing on the back of his mind. He would have done it if he would have got reelected anyways. He might not have done it as hardcore as he is doing it today against the entire world, but with the popularity that he has and the backing from American people, and right now it's looking like the Republicans are going to win the next election as well if they keep doing what they're doing, because again, bar what the mainstream is trying to feed everybody, his popularity is huge. The acknowledgements, especially through the medium income and low income people, they are already seeing the gains. And they know, because they're seeing the economy grow at an exponential rate, that not only are big businesses going to do well, but with the way that Trump has changed the tax system, they're going to do substantially better. Now, let's get on with this Howard Lutnik. This is really important. This little wee clip I'm going to show you will help break down some of the just kind of throwouts that Trump did with his meeting with Carney. Let's get started. Here's Howard Lutnik. This is he speaks right from the cuff, this man.
As you know, John Carney, the new Prime Minister of Canada, is coming to town tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Mark Carney, sorry. John Carney is a good economist at Breitbart. So Mark Carney, whom I've met, is a central banker.
So there you go right there. It tells you how impressive this man is right off the hop. Not only has he met him, Mark Carney, he left such an impression he couldn't even remember his name. Elbows up, Canada.
Are you optimistic? Can we make a deal with Canada?
I think it's really complex. I think this is really complex because they have been basically feeding off of us for decades upon decades upon decades, right? They have their socialist regime, and it's basically feeding off of America. I mean, the president calls that out all the time.
Now, this is the biggest threat to America, and it has been for over 100 years, is socialism and communism. There's only been one administration that got voted in with socialist ideas, and that was the Biden administration. Obama, on his last term, this is why he fell from grace, he started to implement socialist ideology, and a lot of the old school Democrats fell out of favor with him right away because this isn't what they were after. And kind of like what happened to the Liberal Party, as they backed away, those positions got filled with heavy socialist ideology, and that took the party into the Biden. And then, of course, Biden got just destroyed, and Camilla, because of this. So front and center, the main attack coming towards Canada is the growing concern of socialism. And it's not necessarily our horrible healthcare, because they make fun of it down in the States all the time because of how crappy our system is, especially in the last 7 years. We have one of the worst healthcare systems out of the G20. In fact, I think we're rated near the bottom, statistically wise. Of course, Canada, it's Stats Can, and then we'll kind of change numbers and play with it. It's easy to lie when it comes to stats. But when you got people dying in the waiting room, people who are getting misdiagnosed and dying, that pretty much says it all. And the fact that the MAID program that came in has been, it's the main people that are using it are people who can't afford to get out of the country to get the proper treatment they need, and they would rather just end themselves because they don't want to have a painful, agonizing last few years here in Canada with the system that doesn't help them. We'll move on here a little bit further. Like I said, he does a great job breaking some stuff here apart that you're going to hear Trump throw little tidbits of.
Why do we make cars in Canada? Why do we do our films in Canada? Come on. So I think the president's going to have, I think it's going to be a fascinating meeting. I'm glad I'm going to be there listening, but it's going to be a fascinating meeting tomorrow. I just don't see how it works out so perfectly.
But you're not going to bust up USMCA. That deadline is next year for the final review.
Correct. So next year is coming. So a lot of things are going to be put into that.
So if it's USMCA compliant, you're okay.
I think for now it's okay, but I think what you should expect to see is a real revisiting of USMCA in a year, because Donald Trump, remember what was fun about USMCA, remember when he renegotiated the deal, he wanted an exit clause in 3 years. And they said, no way, we're only going to have a 6-year exit clause because we don't want to negotiate with you.
Now, this is true, and I've been telling people about this since liberals did this. Not only did we get completely destroyed, and we did, the Trump administration was feeling out the waters because they knew the next steps they were going to do, and then of course they lost the election. But this is one of the things that Trump ended up going, okay, fine. They don't want to deal with me. We're going to hit them through tariffs and other ways anyways, so it wasn't a major concern. But the Liberals didn't think that Trump was going to get reelected. So you've got the same players that are going into this room, into this negotiation, that are going to get the bejesus beat out of them. Elbows up, Canada. Elbows up.
And now the Biden election went the way, with the election getting stolen from our president. And now here they are negotiating with Donald Trump. And I don't think they're very happy about that.
One thing I want to add.
So let's get to this Trump interview. Again, I post everything in the links below. So, yeah, you can watch it in entirety. I just pulled out all the parts that were pertaining to Canada because Trump, as usual, he's open like a book. He takes questions on every subject and he deals with it on the spot. Unlike our government, who only takes mainstream media softball questions, won't answer any real questions from real media, and is trying to censor us.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take full credit. His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning. So I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine. But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching it with interest, and I think Canada chose a very talented person, a very good person, because we spoke before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House and the Oval Office. And you see the new and improved Oval Office as it becomes more and more beautiful with love. We handle it with great love and 24-karat gold. That always helps too. Right? But it's been a lot of fun. We're going over some of the beautiful pictures that were stored in the vaults.
Okay, we're going to scroll ahead a little wee bit here.
Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually. For the big announcement.
Now get ready to watch some embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing butt kissing. This guy, he polished his nose right up before this. And watch not only the reaction to Trump, but watch how good Carney is at kissing royal butt.
But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit.
Now, that's the Trump evil grin, because he's dealing with the same administration on the Canadian side that he had over 4 years ago.
Transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement.
Anybody? See the grin? You see the grin? Cardi's like, oh, good. I did good. I did good.
No, it was actually very effective, and it's still very effective, but people have to follow it. So, that's been a problem. People haven't followed it. But it was a transitional step a little bit, and as you know, it terminates fairly shortly. It gets renegotiated very shortly. But I thought it was a very positive step from NAFTA. NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history of our country, probably in the history of the world. And this was a transitional deal, and we'll see what happens. We're going to be starting to possibly renegotiate that if it's even necessary. I don't know that it's necessary anymore, but it served a very good purpose And the biggest purpose it served is we got rid of NAFTA. NAFTA was a very unfair deal for the United States. Very, very terrible deal. It should have never been made. It was made many years ago, but it should have never been made.
Canada and the United States. Would you like to see a first trade deal be with Canada? Our neighbors can
I would love that. Look, I have a lot of respect for this man, and I watched him come up in a sense through the ranks when he wasn't given much of a chance, and he ran a really great campaign. He did a really great debate. I think that debate was very helpful. I was going to raise my hand. You know, I don't know if that's good or bad. I shouldn't say that. That might hurt you.
Yes. Trump wanted him. He wanted the liberals to stay in power. This is a huge benefit for what Trump aims to do in his administration. And you can see it. You can see it on his face. He's tickled pink. Canada elected weak.
But no, he ran a really great election, I thought. And yeah, something could happen. Something could happen. Yeah, please.
What's the top concession you want out of Canada? The top concession you want out of Canada?
Concession?
Yes.
Friendship.
But that's not a concession.
No, we're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada. Canada is a very special place to me. I know so many people that live in Canada. My parents had relatives that lived in Canada, my mother in particular. And no, I love Canada. I have a lot of respect for the Canadians. Wayne Gretzky, I mean, how good, the great one. You happen to have a very, very good hockey player right here on the Capitals, who I have a lot of. He is a big, tough cookie too. Just broke the record, and he's a great guy. And you know, we had the team here, and I got to know a lot of the players. But now Canada is a very special place. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, Mr. Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to get your response to this too. But Mr. President, you have said that Canada should become the 51st state.
Yeah. No. Well, I still believe that, but you know, it takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, you know, as a real estate developer, you know, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country.
Look at Carney's reaction.
When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said, that's the way it was meant to be. But, you know, I do feel it's much better for Canada. But we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway, because we're...
Do you see the color? Look at it. Look at his reaction. He's out of his league. He's out of his league, people.
Protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, you know, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. And we have done.
Now, look carefully at Trump's face. Do you see the smirk? Do you see the smirk? Wait for it.
Done that in the past. And part of that, as the president just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well, that the president has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be.
Now that's professional butt kissing right there. So he's trying to get his point across, but he is licking. He is kissing. He's trying everything to stop what happened to Zelensky. But don't worry. Right now, what we're not seeing, Canada's getting the living daylights beat out of us for this weak leader.
It's true. And they have, I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
Oh, Canada, what did you do? What did you do electing this fool? Oh, my God. Look at the expression on Carney's face. There's the color.
What would it take to get the tariffs off of Canada?
Well, we'll be talking about different things. Like, we want to protect our automobile business, and so does Mark. But we want to make the automobiles, and we want to...
Watching the color? See, he's turning red? This has to do, you can read people like a book. I'm lucky enough, I've read a few actual books on this, little, takes away stuff that's a lot of psychologists and stuff have put out there on, especially what police use when they can tell when you're lying, when you're embarrassed. There's certain tendencies, and a gambler would call them tells. There's tells. And Carney has a lot of tells. This man can't play poker. He's used to being on the top without ever having to play cards. Now he's dealing with a guy who is a championship poker player, and not just poker, chess. And you'll see it through the entirety of this open dialogue presser.
We have a tremendous abundance of energy, more than any country. We have, just in Alaska alone, Anwar has been reopened now. Anwar is probably the largest find anywhere in the world. They say it's larger than Saudi Arabia. I don't know, but it's a lot. But we have tremendous amounts of energy. Other countries don't. We're both lucky in that way. They have energy. We have energy. We have more than we can ever use and more than we could ever sell, actually. And you have the same thing. So we're two countries that are very lucky. If you look at China, they don't have that. It's a big disadvantage. Other countries, most countries don't have. Most countries don't have that. So Canada and us, we have a lot of advantages over other places.
When you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say, never say never. I've had many, many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us, and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens.
Oh, Canada! Oh my God, I can't believe we elected this guy. Oh, we're gonna get railroaded so bad. We are gonna get railroaded so bad. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. He's going pale. You're slowly seeing the red color flush right out of his system. Again, mainstream is not showing this. They're giving you little clips. I've been cycling episodes all morning, waiting for this, and I've been watching their reaction. They're trying to make Carney out to be some great guru for Canada. This is why you have to support independence. Like, share, and subscribe, because you get to see it in your entirety, and of course you get to laugh along with me at the obvious destruction of what has become Canada. Trump just ran right over the Liberals. There he's white.
I was hoping you can clarify something. Earlier this morning on Capitol Hill, Secretary Bessent said that there have been no negotiations yet with China. You have said something different.
They want to meet, and they're doing no business right now. And those ships are turning around.
I'm going to go a little bit further ahead. Back to Canada.
Something you said on USMCA. Is the U.S. prepared to walk away from that pact?
From what pact?
USMCA.
No, it's fine. It's there. It's good. We use it for certain things. It's there. We have the USMCA is a good deal for everybody. I won't say this about Mark, but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for. She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person.
Now, do you see the eye roll? Do you see the eye roll? Chrystia Freeland. Canada re-elected the same frickin' Liberal Party. The same people. They hid it behind this man. Did you see his eye roll? He knows he's in trouble. He's in over his head. And this goes to what Lutnik was saying. They didn't think they were going to have to renegotiate with this administration. And now they do. And Canada actually, for some, well, because of mainstream. Mainstream is that's the propaganda arm. It's the strongest tool a socialist, communist, and fascist government uses against its people. They played their cards. This is what we're stuck with. They can't wait to renegotiate USMCA. They're not even racing for it. They're not even racing for it because of how they piñataed Canada in the first one. Just wait, it's coming. Canada, wow, have we fallen.
Really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't get away with it.
There goes the color.
You know what I'm talking about. But so, you know, we had a bad relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way they viewed the deal. And we ended it. You know, we ended that relationship pretty much. The USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it.
Mr. President.
I'll say a word on USMCA, if I may, Mr. President. It is a basis for a broader negotiation. Some things about it are going to have to change. And part of the way you've conducted these tariffs has taken advantage of existing aspects of USMCA. So it's going to have to change. There's other elements that are come, and that's part of what we're going to discuss.
Right.
During the campaign, Prime Minister Carney talked about the American betrayal. How do you react if Canada decided not to shop in the American store as much as before and decided to partner with other countries?
Well, we don't do much business with Canada from our standpoint. They do a lot of business with us. We're at like 4%. And usually those things don't last very long. You know, we have great things, great product, the kind of product we sell, nobody else can sell, including military. Look, we make the best military equipment in the world, and Canada buys our military equipment, which we appreciate. But we make the best military equipment in the world by far, the missiles, the submarines, everything. Everything we have is really top notch.
And just so you know, Canada just signed, before this meeting, they signed I believe it was $100 million for night vision equipment from the States. He was licking the boots of the Trump administration and the war machine, knowing he was trying to soften as much as possible this meeting. Again, all backdoor stuff mainstream isn't telling you. They should be telling you, but they don't, because they work for the socialist government.
I rebuilt our military during our last term. Stupidly, we gave some away to Afghanistan, which shouldn't have happened. But that was, I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. It was just very incompetent people. But if you look, the man that's now the head of our Joint Chiefs, he led the attack on ISIS for me. That's why he's the head of the Joint Chiefs. And Raisin Kane, he was unbelievable. And as you know, we defeated ISIS in 3 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years. We did it in 3 weeks. And he ran the campaign. I said, I like him. But I knew him before. I went to Iraq, and we agreed to a plan, and that was the plan. And as you know, we did it in record time. So we have the best equipment in the world. We have a lot of things. But Canada, it does a lot more business with us than we do with Canada. Yeah.
Mr. President, your investments, Mr. President. When do you think the investments that you've announced, the trillions, will finally hit economic data this year?
When you're saying about the tariffs?
No, about the investments that you've announced.
It's hitting right now. Look, they're already starting AI plants. These are not people that look for financing. That's a good thing. You know, in real estate, you get a site, then you have to look for financing, you have to get your zoning, 5 years later you start building, you get a bank, then the bank's no good. These people have massive amounts of cash. The CHIPS Act was a ridiculous thing because that doesn't get them to build. All we did is hand very wealthy companies money. The CHIPS Act that was done by Biden. billions. We give them billions.
Okay, we'll scroll ahead a little wee bit further here. This is nearing the end.
What changes would you like to see to the USMCA? Or what changes would you like to make?
We're going to work on some subtle changes, maybe. I don't even know if we're going to be dealing with USMCA. We're dealing more with concepts right now. Look, right now, we're doing trade. We have trade. They're paying a tariff on cars and steel and aluminum. And I think we have a baseline of 10% or something like that for the tariffs. But we're getting along very well. Right now, going no further, but we have...
See, now, he's hoping Trump doesn't bring up the retaliatory tariffs. You see how uncomfortable he is? And I'm going to show you how the Liberal Party is screwing all of Canada. And even worse is what he's doing to the West by not discussing and trying to negotiate with China on the 100% tariffs on the prairies and the 25% tariffs on the coastal provinces, and even all the way through the St. Lawrence, who do fishing and are involved with trade to China. It is destroying 1,000 times more on our economy than Trump's tariffs on the auto sector. Mainstream, crickets.
We have an agreement. We did something with even parts. You want to discuss that, Howard, with respect to Canada, which helps Canada out?
Sure. So we've made an arrangement with the car companies that...
Now, watch the color. He's already turning red. You can see it. Because he's scared, just like Dougie, of Howard Lutnik.
15% of their USMCA parts are included, and then 15% of foreign parts from the manufactured suggested retail price are not tariffed to help domestic manufacturing really thrive.
So it gave them a chance to be able to build their car parts factories if they're going to. A lot of these companies already have factories, and what they have to do is just fill them out. But they're able to build them in the United States, so we gave them a pretty substantial period of time.
Just to clarify, Mr. President, is there anything the Prime Minister can say to you today to change your mind on tariffing Canada?
Tariffing cars?
Tariffing Canada. Is there anything he can say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No.
Why not?
Just the way it is.
What's your first state? If Canadians don't want it, would you respect that?
He is so out of his league. He is so out of his league. Canada, oh my God, oh my God. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We got to get more Canadians to see this. They gotta see it in its entirety. Nothing's going to change. In other words, he doesn't give a crap about Carney. He knows he's going to walk all over him. He just wants Carney to fulfill what Carney thinks his destiny is, which is to convert to this supposed utopia for the billionaires and complete devastation and dystopia for all of the rest of the citizens in Canada. Trump doesn't give a rat's butt. He's got what he wanted. He got the Greens in. This is going to push so much business and decimate our economy, he doesn't even have to worry anymore. It de-stressed a lot of what he needed and thought he was going to have to do if the Conservatives were brought into power.
Sure, I would. But this is not necessarily a one-day deal. This is over a period of time they have to make that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. Respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state. Secondly, we are the largest...
See the little grin on Trump? Oh, Canada, we're in trouble.
...client of the United States in the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved. And this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions, and that is represented by who's sitting around the table.
See, the conflict is, and this is very friendly. We're not. This is not going to be like We had another little blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation. But
there's the color going red again. It wasn't just Trudeau. It's the Liberal Party people, which of course all my viewers know. So if you're a new-time viewer, welcome to reality.
We want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada. And we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And we, because of, past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidized.
That shoulder shrug is definitely a giveaway that he's uncomfortable. He's done it so many times. Whenever he's uncomfortable, it's like how he uses it to shrug it to kind of get his blood flowing again, to kind of get his color back, and you can really see it in him. It's an emotional distressor. It's like, what am I going to do? How am I going to answer this? You can see the two little marbles in there rolling around, going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right?
In Canada, Canada's a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%,
a little shrug.
What would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that. Thank you very much. We're going to have a very substantial. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Could you tell there at the end it was getting very, very heated inside of the Oval Office? President Trump talking about tariffs as well as the relationship with Canada.
Now, Trump is...
I had
the whole American administration is laughing their butts off right now at what Canada did. They successfully got the Liberal Party in power. They did the same thing down in Australia and a few other countries. This is what the Trump administration needs in order to fulfill what they think their destiny is. And all of those countries that re-elected those same parties that decimated our economies literally just signed a really bad deal to their citizens, and it's too bad they got duped. So once again, I'm going to say it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe and get the word out. People need to see this in its entirety, and if you want, you can just click the actual links down below, and you can watch the entire clip, so that it might be easier to post. Somebody may not like. They may say, "Oh, I don't like that guy. He's a hardcore conservative." I'm not. I'm actually libertarian. I just want freedom. I want democracy. I want equality. That's my belief. Now, on the tariffs, mainstream refuses to tell Canadians. First of all, the rise we saw in the housing, the food, and all the rest was all from the Liberal Party. None of that had anything to do with Trump, except for in the last 3 months on how Canada has been retaliating. Now, yes, they are putting on tariffs on American products. The American product is just being sold at a higher rate to Canadians, and that money from the tariffs is being sucked all the way to Ottawa for them to give it out to districts and ridings that control all of Canada. Our system is so bad. Like, it is so bad. And we won't be able to see any of this. We won't know where the money's going. They're going to do what they always do. Media is going to cover for them like they have been, because a lot of Canadians think that the tariffs, the costs that they're paying now, are because of Trump. They're not. They're because of Carney and Trudeau's Liberals. They're the same people. They have the same beliefs. They don't care about you. They don't care. They only care about certain ridings so they can hold power, so they can keep doing what they're doing, filling their pockets on the backs of hard-working Canadians. Now, on to the tariffs that Canada has imposed on us. So there is tariffs that Trump put in, and you heard him. They are on everything outside of the USMCA trade deal. He's played himself very close and tight. There is no court challenge, as much as the media likes to say, oh, they're going to take him to court and they're going to win. No, they're not. They're not going to win. First of all Trump has to do is say national security. And that's the end of that. Done. Now, the USMCA Trump negotiated. So the only tariffs are being felt by Trump is on the American people, not us. Yes, they are hurting our business, because now anything coming out of Canada to the States, and only auto, steel, aluminum, and wood. The wood, he didn't up. He's just left the same tariffs in its place. But he's jacked up the steel and aluminum industry and the auto industry. And now I urge you to watch previous episodes. I've done 2 or 3 now, exposing the auto sector. Even a CEO who's tickled pink about what Trump's doing, because they know their businesses are they're on their way out if this EV initiative gets pushed through. If they remove and ban combustion engines by 2030, 2035, you can say goodbye to all your auto plants. Again, previous episodes, I expose it all. Now, this is a list of Carney. This is what the Liberals put through as their retaliatory tariffs. Here's a list of goods. This comes to the tune of like $298 billion of our Canadian money being taken from Canadian citizens on tariffs from American goods. That's going to the Liberal Party for them to do with what they want. They are going to buy ridings, which is what they always do, and then they're going to use the rest of it to push their green initiative through. This psychotic ideology, the zealot religion of greenism, what they call greenism, which isn't. It's the exact opposite of being environmental. Candles, tapers, and the like. Prepared glues, adhesives, umbrellas. The list goes on. Walking sticks, tableware, kitchenware, ceramics, statuettes, ornamental, gold, platinum, waste and scrap precious metal, articles of natural and cultured pearls, imitation jewelry, iron and non-alloy, semi-finished products, flat-rolled products, iron and steel. This just keeps going and going and going and going and going. Like, look at all of this, people. This list, it goes on and on. Now, this is, of course, their, we'll call it a kind of a fair retaliatory trade, although this isn't what Trump's tariffing on. Trump's tariffing on raw product. But Carney, he went and did every little thing that is in any way linked to metals, as well as, don't forget, like I was naming, the glues, the ceramics, wood, walking sticks. Hello, seniors. Hello. For those of, for those Eastern seniors, those Liberal card holders, Your life just got drastically more expensive. Anyways, it keeps on going and going and going. More flat roll, bars, alloys. We'll keep scrolling here down a little bit further. Tubes and pipes. Look at how long this list is. Like, it's just, this is crazy. Screws, like building materials, nails. Keeps going. Stoves, ranges, grates, cookers. Like, every and anything that has any type of metal in them. Cast irons, wrought irons, aluminum wire. This goes to everything. Welding wire, welding rods, hand tools, spades, shovels, forks, you name it. Punches, dies, glazier's tools. It just, like, look at how long this list goes. Knives, padlocks, anything you touch that has, if it's completely wood and it has one little tack holding something and that tack is metal, it's been tariffed by the Liberal Party. And who's paying for it? Canadian citizens are paying for it. The list keeps going and going and going. This deals with everything from machinery, so anything that's made in the States, farm goods, you name it, doesn't matter what business you're in. Monitors, projectors, televisions, wristwatches. It just keeps going. Furniture, luminaries, lights, prefabs, amusement machines, swimming pools. It just keeps going. Look at this list. Keeps going and going. I'm not even going to scroll anymore. It keeps going and going. Now, I'm going to put all these pages, these links, so you guys can scroll through them and look, and you can see for yourself. The Liberal Party is screwing over Canadians. And don't worry. Like Lutnik had kind of hinted at, this is kind of a chuckle because they don't give a crap. They don't. They don't give a crap. They are going to end up using this in their battle scheme against Canada. Now, how bad do the people really want to be taxed more? I don't know. Well, they voted the Liberals in, so we'll see how long the government lasts, but this is absolutely insane. So it originally tariffs, 25% U.S. tariffs on products in Canada, 10% U.S. tariffs on energy resources and critical minerals. Then Canada retaliated 25% on products which is listed in the Phase 1 goods, which is what I listed off. Exemption was passed through on March 7th. For any products of Canada that are CUSMA compliant, does not apply to steel aluminum tariffs that's referenced below, and they left the 25% tariffs on. Then Canada put through, of course, more tariffs. This is what Canada did, which is the one I showed you, right? All the kitchenware, etc., etc. Then then the United States paused tariffs on everybody around the world, except for Canada and China. Now, Mexico, they renegotiated, and there's a lot of backdoor stuff, and there's a lot of paperwork to that. I'm not even going to get into it. There is a little wee bit of a battle going on there, but nothing like Canada. Canada and China are still being tariffed hardcore because of our ignorance and the retaliatory tariffs that I just showed you that were put on the States. So additional country-specific reciprocal tariffs on U.S. imports do not apply to Canada or Mexico. Now, the way that this is worded, it's actually China. He's nailed China, and China's economy is in free fall right now. They are closing plants down all over the place. There may very well be an uprising. In fact, there's a lot of leaders of different countries around there, like the one from Japan, who got up and just lambasted the Communist Party of China. So, to another nice little list. Where am I here? Right. So, this is another list. Poultry, fowls, Gallus, turkeys, guineas, live poultry, meat and edible offal, keeps going and going and going. All meats, you name it, every type of meat, every type of chicken, any type of food that you're buying that comes from the States is being tariffed. And we are paying for this. We are paying for this. The entire nation is paying for this because of a very small sector which is on its way out because the Liberal Party is going to put through their 2030 agenda. This list is crazy. Everything, smoked meats, milk, cream, you name it. The list, 37 pages long. The end of the list, there's everything in here. Combs, hair slides, scent sprays, monopads, bipods, you name it. This list is absolutely huge. It's so huge that they don't even give you the scroll option. They give you the page option. This is what Carney is doing to Canada that the media isn't talking about. We are being decimated by our own bloody government. And it's being blamed on Trump. Canada's in big trouble. And you just saw it firsthand. I will make sure, like always, I post all of the links in the description so you can see for yourselves how this isn't Trump's tariffs. This is Canada's tariffs. This is a socialist government. They don't give a rat's ass about Canada. And Trump was right. Our business is minuscule. They could close the border completely down and remove everything we sell them and replace it on their own or through other countries that are actually negotiating right now. Because there's a lot of countries, like they said, India, who are huge on tariffs. They've already got a verbal agreement of dropping them right down to almost zero. And we're their biggest enemy because of our socialist ideology. And again, the green agenda is just what the Trump administration needs to make Canada the 51st state. So elbows up, everybody, elbows up, because you literally just signed our economic demise. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Premier Daniel Smith is doing a presser as I speak. I will be doing an episode on that. Hopefully get it out there before too late tonight. If not, it will be on the morning episode. My ranch is in full-time overdrive. Spring is here. So I am definitely have my time divided in between this video cast and, of course, my ranch. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you are, punch that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, this is Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, Alias Tagay. Stay informed.